It isn't calorie tracking that people don't like. It's calorie restriction that people don't like.
Honestly feel like I'm just gonna break out of my skin, turn into the Hulk and just scoff chocolate.
Just noting down what you eat is not a stressful thing to do. People feel so passionately about it, like, oh no, like that's terrible, it doesn't work.
Why would you say this? I hate this.
What is it about it that doesn't work? It's just noting it down, just bringing some awareness to what you do. And people have this passionate feeling about not liking it, but it's like recognizing what you've eaten isn't an emotional thing. It's the fact that at the same time, they're restricting it. There's this feeling of like, I shouldn't be eating that, or I'm trying to have less, and I'm just, and it's just calling attention to how much they're having, and they're constantly thinking about the restriction that needs to happen in that. But the thing that I would promote and tell people is that it's like, let's not think about the restricting part of it until it's necessary. To begin with, what you want to do is to just track, or maybe track isn't a great word, maybe it should be something like just observe, to just note down what you've eaten. It's not about trying to control what you're eating at this point, especially when someone's starting. It's just about bringing awareness to it.
Don't interfere with it. Absolutely, I will not interfere.
Thinking back on things we've talked about in the channel here before is, the idea of relationship. Whatever you're doing is creating a particular relationship. Whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not, whether you intend to or not, how you're engaging with something is creating a particular relationship with it. If someone is doing that thing where they're restricting themselves and telling themselves to stop doing these things, they're creating like an oppressive relationship with it. And when they're tracking, if people are tracking their food and trying at the same time, trying to force themselves to stop having these things and pigeonholing them into how much they're allowed to have, having this kind of oppressive energy to what they're doing, that is not a healthy relationship with it. And of course, who wants to jump into an oppressive relationship? No one wants to do that. So that's obviously something that people don't like, and but just something that I think is insightful is the fact that it's not calorie tracking that people don't like. That's not the problem. It's the calorie restriction. And who likes restricting? No one likes restricting them. But it's funny how much the length that people will go to avoid tracking. They'll like follow some really strict diet. That has no. I'll eat this, and this. I'll just eat the plan, and then I don't have to think about it. Right? Don't have to think about it, don't want to look at it. Or they'll get like a light and easy, or buy some meals and just eat those things, so that I don't have to think about it, right? Or I'll do, keto so that I just have to make sure it's protein and no carbs, and then I'll be fine, and I don't have to think about it. Or go on like a shake diet. I'll just have the shakes, and then I don't have to worry about anything else. Whatever it is, people go to extreme lengths to avoid tracking, to not track. But yet, the reality is that even if you are doing those things, you should be tracking as well on top of that, because it gives you some insight. It's cultivating awareness. It's cultivating a sense of paying attention to what you're doing. And then when you're paying attention to what you're doing, you can be flexible with how you do things, because you understand how much you've had for the week. You've got a grip on how much you've had, rather than just sort of crossing your fingers and trusting and hoping that whatever it is you've chosen to do, at the end of the day, or the end of the week, you're going to step on the scale and have lost some weight, or that it's somehow moving you forward. But it's just having blind faith in whatever it is the thing you're doing.
Do you realize what you've done?
Now, I think all of those things are good. All the things I mentioned are good. What's not good is just being so opposed to paying attention to what it is that you're eating. I've always found that paying attention is something that's just mitigated a lot of choices I've made. The fact that you're thinking, okay, how many servings was that? What am I having? How much do I need? Checking the calories. How much was that? It's like the fact that you've just got that commentary going at the same time. Whenever I'm not thinking about that, I'm just unhinged, just eating way too much, just having a whole packet of biscuits, or having 3 or 4 servings or something. If I'm just giving myself permission to just I'll just eat this type of food, or I'll just do that, I'm just always overeating anyway. So there's a sense of just thinking, okay, how many calories is that? You know, how does that fit into the day? Is this going beyond what I probably should have? Yeah, it only helps.
Did you see the memo about this?
So having an oppressive relationship is no good, you know, but then what a positive relationship is something that's individual for people, you know, like what the type of relationship that is positive for you is not necessarily going to be positive for someone else. Someone might have like a sort of a competitive edge that they want to have, and they enjoy that. So having a sort of competitive relationship with their diet and exercise, that might be a good thing for them. That's not inherently toxic. It depends on the person and what motivates them, what inspires them, what fires up their vision. There's no good or bad relationships. There's just the one you have, and there's one that's working towards what you want and creating more of what you want in life, and there's one that's taking away from what you want and moving you away from where you want to be. It's a subjective thing, so it's something that you need to explore for yourself.
It's not going to be easy. It's going to be really hard, and we're going to have to work at this every day, but I want to do that.
So what puts on weight more than anything is just mindless consumption. Right? When you're just not paying attention and you're just eating whatever your heart desires, right? Whatever cravings come up, whatever you feel like having, you know, is typically these days with the food that's available to us. You know, if you're just satisfying whatever it is that you want and just sort of mindlessly consuming, then you're going to put on weight, right? So you're not thinking about how much or what it is, these things. So the opposite of mindless consumption is mindful consumption, right? And the term mindful, right, if you've ever heard that term, all that means is that instead of you just being sort of just empty of mind and just sort of just being knocked around like a pinball just based on, you know, whatever feelings arise, yeah, then you're being considerate. You're aware of the feelings that you have and what choices they are driving you towards. What your unconscious mind is, all the biases and the self-deception and the cravings and all the unconscious stuff. When I say unconscious, is things that you are not aware of. Right? The more that you can bring consciousness and awareness to those things, and basically just pause and consider what is going on, rather than just reacting to feelings. Right, and reacting to these unconscious forces, just having a pause and a sense of a consideration and awareness happening. Right, so that in the context of eating is right. So when you have a craving come up, you have some desire that you want to fulfill, then you stop and you think, okay, what's going on here? Right, and that's really where the tracking comes in. It's just such a simple foundational part of being mindful, which is just you bringing mind into your eating process. You know, just say, okay, what is this worth? How does this fit in? You know, that's really all it is. It's like just bringing that consideration into it and making choices based on consideration rather than just craving and reaction. Then when you do that, when you know what you want and you know why you're doing it, you know what you're going to get out of it, and you know how this choice is going to influence that, and you make a consideration, you're on a much, much more powerful path towards what you want. You know, what you really want for yourself and your health. If you want to hear a bit more about my own personal story with that, then there's a video I did talking about how I've tracked for 600 days. I still am going now, but at the point of 600 days. That video is right here, and I'll see you there.